What is your favorite Guinan moment? Which is your least favorite TNG episode? If you were to do a podcast covering something other than Star Trek, what would it be? Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a mailbag episode. We're between The Next Generation Season 5 and Season 6, so it is time for a mailbag episode. The last time we did one actually was with Denise Crosby and Melissa. It was after Season 2 of The Next Generation, 100 episodes ago, maybe 99. But about that. So everybody, Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate it. And visit us on patreon.com/the seventh rule, please. That would be awesome. Come be our friends and help support the show. Sirach, did you like those first 3 questions? And how are you?
Yeah, I did like those. I was like, hey, is he going to have trivioids for the mailbag? And you did. You did. Good job.
Thanks.
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing just fine. Thanks very much. Confession. I made those questions up, but I bet that people right now are thinking, damn, I wish I had asked that question. Those are good. Those are good questions. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind answering those questions. Those are fun questions. Maybe people did ask those. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're
so
good
unfortunately,
questions. I was thinking, what would I do? Yeah,
I know. Unfortunately, we may not be answering those questions unless you guys answered or asked them yourselves. So, Sirach, let's give a little backdrop here. We've been doing this for a little over 6.5 years. It's been quite a journey. People are always asking us questions in the comments. Sometimes we answer, sometimes we don't. Sometimes they're rhetorical. Sometimes they're like, why don't you get a life, buddy? But can you just talk to everybody a little bit about just maybe the last 6.5 years, what this journey's been?
Yeah, this journey's been something that I didn't expect. Just getting into it has really allowed me to have a new understanding and appreciation for Star Trek and the episodes. That's one thing, and I felt like I've grown closer to the fans that watch the show and the people that support our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I understand some of those inside jokes that I
like Darmok is the big one.
That's probably the big one, yeah. Because I used to see people with that all the time with the Darmok shirts on and and I would always, just wonder, why is that so important, and what does that refer to? So, part of the journey is really just getting to know all of the 7th rulers. Obviously losing Aaron is something that I will reflect on, as this show having, an attachment to him. But, I feel like I've grown, and I feel like this journey has been, it's been a special one that led me to other things that I didn't imagine, as far as relationships and friendships and, general appreciation for the material.
It's been a lot of fun, man. So this is a very, very rare mailbag episode. I think it is our 2nd mailbag episode ever in 6.5 years and over 500 episodes. So everybody, we are listening. Ask questions. Someday we will answer them. But today we are going to answer the questions that the people have asked in the last 2 or 3 days. We have not vetted these. We will try to get to as many as we can. And let's just see how it goes. Maybe we should have vetted them. All right. Question number 1 is for Sirach. It's from Eric L. Escalona. How do you feel about crossover episodes in general? Classic characters guest starring in TNG era episodes. And who would you have wanted from the classic series in Deep Space Nine? That's an awesome question. So you know how like Bones was in the first episode of TNG, right? Things like that. Or like how
Wasn't Spock
Picard was, yep, Spock was in TNG. Picard was in the first episode of Deep Space Nine, right? So, what do you think about those kind of crossover episodes? And who would you like to have seen from the original series in Deep Space Nine?
Okay. Well, for the crossover episodes, I think they're fun and interesting. I enjoy them. Um, and I feel like, yeah, I feel like for the most part, what they do is they let us know that the universe that's been created is not separate. You know, that this TNG universe is not separate from the original series universe, or they're not floating in, you know, different parts of space, that they all come back to Central Command. They all know each other or know of each other. And there's a level of like, kinsmanship and camaraderie there when you see two captains from two different shows getting together, or two different characters from different generations of shows interacting with each other. Matter of fact, I think it was done recently with the two new shows.
Yeah.
I remember the crossover with Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. And I thought that was extremely clever. If I'm not mistaken, Jonathan Frakes directed that.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. So that's almost kind of like a 2.5 crossover, right?
Yeah, right. That's all the crosses. So yeah, I think that is, you know, and I love that episode. I thought that episode was just amazing, and it gave me you know, everything I wanted was in that episode. Then I also think about Trouble with Tribbles, and you know how they got Cisco with the original cast. Um, so all of it is great. I mean, there's two answers that come to mind for the people that I would like to see, and one of them is I would have liked to see Spock crossover onto DS9.
Wow, cool.
That's I think that would have been a good crossover. And then in my own small little universe as a character, I think it would have been cool to see Will Wheaton and Jake cross over and hang out, have a moment of hanging out, and just let's see what that looks like.
Damn. I'm picturing it. When you're saying that, I'm picturing Wesley goes to you because, you know, you're on a space station. He's on a ship. He's going to you. He would be maybe a few years older than you, right? So yeah, but you can picture it, you know, like he would maybe be an ensign or, you know, a cadet or something like that. You know, that could be really cool. I can picture a few possible ways that could go. All right.
Yeah, I can see it.
But Spock, I was actually surprised by the Spock answer. Because I hadn't really thought of that because, you know, he was already on the Next Generation, but that would be really cool because there was never really a Vulcan presence on Deep Space Nine like there was in original series. Uh, Data was kind of the Spock in Next Generation. Odo was the closest thing to a Spock in Deep Space Nine. Voyager has Tuvok, of course. Enterprise has T'Pol. Good one. Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just like Spock as a character, so he's always been one of my favorite characters.
All right. Next question. Oh, Gabe Siciliano, guess where he got his last name, asks, what is your favorite part of going to conventions? And will we see you guys in Jersey in September? I believe that is September 6th and 7th in Whippany, New Jersey. Sirach, what is your favorite thing about going to conventions?
I mean, without a doubt, it's meeting people in different places. I mean, that's it right there. It's, you know, being in a different city, taking a temperature of that city and the vibe there, um, and also the people there. And that's my favorite thing to do is, meet new people, talk to them about their professions. I meet all type of people. So, professors and medical personnel and, you know, firefighters and military and, federal agents and bounty hunters. I mean, all type of people that are
Have
just,
we met bounty? Have you met a bounty hunter at a convention?
yeah, yeah. I've met a bounty
Wow.
hunter. Uh, I've met some U.S. Marshals. Um, I've met a lot of people at these conventions, and including people that are involved with the space industry that work for JPL and things like that.
Hmm.
So um, that's my favorite thing is meeting people. I enjoy making connections with people. I enjoy listening to how Star Trek influenced their life and altered their trajectory of their life. Maybe influenced what they studied in school and what profession they chose, and listening to those stories is great. And also reconnecting with the friends that I already know.
Hmm.
People that are part of the Seventh Pool family and the TJs of the world. The Anne Marie's and the Dr. Muhammad Noors and just our whole extended family. So that to me, giving hugs and spending quality time in face to face is what is most exciting to me.
Hmm. Yeah, there's so many things for me about going to Star Trek conventions. For me, I have definitely a different experience than Sirach does because I go in as a fan. And so Sirach gets to walk in and 1,000 people just love him. But you are, because, what's not to love? Let's be honest. It's amazing. When I walk in, I'm one of the guys doing the love. I'm like, oh my God, it's this guy, it's this guy. You know what I mean? So it's really cool. I mean, one of the things I love the most is seeing Sirach getting the love that he deserves. First of all, when I see him with a long ass line, I'm like, damn, that's my guy. Like there's really almost nothing cooler than seeing Sirach getting the love that he deserves. And I hope it continues to climb and grow as people really. I feel like the Jake Sisko character is a character like quite a few others in Star Trek history that ages well. It ages like fine wine. People appreciate the character more as time goes on. I think Wesley Crusher is another one of those where, there's some that are obvious. Worf, people, there was nobody that was like, oh, I thought Worf sucked 20 years ago, but now I'm starting to come around. No, everybody loved Worf from the beginning, right? But there are other characters that people like them, and as time went on, they liked them more and more and more, and they just kind of aged well. I think certain Jake Sisko is one of those. So maybe now, obviously, the big thing and the standard answer I would always give, which is the most true, is just for me going to a convention, it's just about the people. Meeting people, seeing happy people, watching people be happy, a good vibe, making friends. I mean, it's really just the people. That's the obvious answer. That's the flat answer. But something that's developed more recently in the last few years that may almost now be at the top. It's a very specific thing. It's when people come up and they say, Sirach, I love your show. Be it Deep Space Nine or The Seventh Rule. I love that. When people come up to me and say, hey, I watched The Seventh Rule, or I listened to The Seventh Rule, or I love it's amazing. It feels nice. But better than that by a mile is when I see people go up to our free-for-all people or our roundtable people and recognize them. They go, whoa, you're TJ Jackson Bay from Missouri, or that's Eve England out in Wales. Like
Yeah.
that's at the tip of the spear. That's at the top of the pyramid, the best thing in the world. So please, everybody, do not be shy. If you see somebody that you've seen on The Seventh Rule, you see them at a convention, go say hi. There's 0% of them that won't like that. Trust me, They're all super nice. They
Yeah.
will appreciate it, and they'll be happy to hear from you. So go do it. It makes everybody, it makes you happy, makes them happy, it makes us happy to see it, doesn't it, Srock? We're like proud papas.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were saying that, just, people's faces were flashing in my head, and,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, a special thing. I was thinking of Joe Palcerati and Mike Gu,
Yeah.
Stephanie Baker, and,
Mhm.
a lot of people that we love dearly.
Mhm.
Yvette Blackman, who was always a joy to see. So yes,
She'll have a table at STLV. Everybody go check out the Sci-Fi Sisters table at STLV and panel at STLV. So check that out. They'll be there.
nice.
Yeah, we love them. That was a great question.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about that question is that I feel like we could talk about that for 30 minutes and we can't. We got to move on.
I mean, you could ask me the opposite of that question: is what do I least like about it too? And I was thinking, soggy hotel beds. You know those beds that
Eh.
are like droopy in the middle. Not wet soggy, but just like
Okay.
not flat beds. I've gotten to so many hotel
That's an
beds.
old ass mattress, man.
Yeah, you get into it. It's like a cereal bowl. You fall to the middle, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Dude, I had a bed like that when I was living in France for a little while in the south of France, in Aix-en-Provence.
Yeah.
And I had to get an apartment that was already furnished. And that bed was like that. Yeah, it was like I felt like I was sleeping in the gutter. I
That's
was
what
just like,
it
I laid it, I just rolled right into it.
is.
I'm like, ugh. I'm like a taco. This is
Yeah,
gross. How
that's
old is this thing?
exactly. Yeah, I'm like,
Did
seriously, what
Germany
is this?
march directly through the middle of this mattress?
Yeah, I hate uncomfortable beds like that. I'm like, seriously, what is there has to be a time limit in which you have to replace this
Yes.
bed. It can't be like this.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Soggy bed.
All
I love
right.
it. All right. Next is Peter Cufaro asks, ooh, these guys are asking good ones, actually. The question is, would it, oh, by the way, he's one of our top commenters with 3,382 points. Not exactly sure what that means, but that is a
Wow.
large number. It's larger than any number of anybody here.
Wow. Shout out,
Yeah.
Peter.
Top commenter, top person, top member. His question is, would it be possible for Avery Brooks to appear on the seventh rule, even if it is a pre-recorded message, just to let us all know he's doing good? Sirach, I feel like this
Hmm.
is your question to answer. But before you answer it, let's answer the second half for Avery. How is Avery doing?
Avery's doing well.
Great.
He's in good spirits, and he's sharp as a tack. And for that question, I won't say it's not possible, because I believe in possibilities. And if you can think it, then it can exist. And so I will say that it is possible. Is it likely? Not very likely, but definitely possible. And Peter,
Yeah.
that I mean, you're expressing something that I've heard from a lot of people that wish to send their um, you know warm regards to Avery when they see me. They say they want to send their love. They want to make sure that he is okay, and know that he's doing well and his well being is fine. And that's something that is a common thing from people. And I know that he appreciates the love. I appreciate the love and people's kind thoughts. Um, and so I think all of that is passed along forward. The energy of those kinds of sentiments, I make sure to always pass forward. I don't know how much he gets in his personal life from just being at the grocery store and people telling him how much he
Mm.
meant to them. But I do my best to convey that on behalf of people like you, Peter. So thank you for those well wishes and those warm regards.
Yeah, that's great. We'll call it deep space 0.9% chance. Like slightly less
There
than
it is.
1% chance.
There it is. Yeah.
Man, but that would be the greatest day of my life. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, Alex Patnick asks, here's a good one for you, Sirach, for both of us. I keep putting you on the spot, making you answer these, but the question is, how is Data powered? Does he need to recharge?
Oh, that's a good one. I assume that Data has to recharge at some
I
point
feel
or
like I've
another.
seen him. I mean, he's definitely been plugged in, but that was to go into the computer. But I
Yeah.
don't think he's. I think he's. I think they've said before that he can go on forever. I mean, that's what Tasha said. But the point is that
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's just say that, you don't want to know where the plug is. No, 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 I don't know. I don't know, but I would imagine that for one, he would be some kind of solar power would be part of him, right? And the other thing is, there's another kind of power which is uh, based on kinetic energy, and I wonder if he has that kind of.
Interesting. So while he walks, it also recharges his batteries, for example,
Yeah,
or any movement. Oh man,
yeah,
that's brilliant. And then it's just like forever,
right, right.
perpetual.
There's several ways to. I would assume that he has several sources of power. Maybe one directly charging, like from a direct charger, like outlet type thing. But I imagine he would also have some solar abilities, or also some kind of kinetic charging abilities, which some electric bicycles have this kinetic charging ability and stuff.
Hmm.
So I imagine it's way more advanced by the time we get the data.
Yeah, the data. Great. Uh, okay. Next is Crawford King asks, who was your favorite featured guest that was standing? Does Ryan's cuteness only affect me? I did not add that, by the way. Thank
Yeah,
you,
right.
Crawford King. Sirach, you don't have to answer that question, but we will answer the first part. Thanks, Crawford. Who was your favorite featured guest? That's a tough one.
On all the shows, on everything so far.
That's all he asks is, well, who's
Yeah,
your? I mean, for me, one of the first thing that pops out is Leonard Crowfoot. We really loved Leonard Crowfoot because of his story. I felt like the Next Generation first season guests that we had were just like a revelation. It was weird. It was like right in that first season, we had 5, 6, or 7 like really good, heartfelt, almost life-altering kind of guests for not very good episodes. So thank God we got them.
yeah.
And then it feels like all the writers, the Iras, the Robert Wolfs, the writers of like the new shows like Strange New Worlds have been unbelievable. What do you think, Sirach?
I think you're interpreting the question a different way than I heard the question. I heard featured guest meaning like who was in the episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Like
you
a guest
know,
star. Guest star,
a
yeah.
guest star
All
being
right.
featured in an episode, but
Let's hear
it could
that.
also be somebody that we featured as a guest on our show. So I can see where the interpretation. That's why I was like, oh, he's interpreting different than I did actually. Just the
Yeah, yeah,
question
yeah.
itself.
Well, I like that
Uh,
question too. That's a fun one.
yeah, and so it's like, I mean, it's almost too difficult to answer that question, because we've had so many people, grace us with their time and stories and give us personal, you know, memories about their life experiences, the trauma that they used, and to make the role more impactful. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just so many people that have come on that I don't even want to
You know,
disrespect any one person.
I gotcha.
But I've really loved all the guests that we've had on, and we've had so many on the show. Um,
Hmm.
it's hard to single anybody out, to be honest with you.
That's why
Even as a
that's why I
yeah
named like 40. I was like the
yeah
writers. No,
yeah
but well, what about a guest star?
yeah, and then even as a guest star, I'm thinking, who's my uh, great guest star? I did say that the Darmok episode with Paul
Paul
Winfield, I
Winfield, yeah.
really liked his guest starring in that. Um, but is that the best of all of them? I can't say that either, because there's been so many great performances on this show. It's too
So
much.
many.
It's like it's almost impossible to
Hmm.
single it down to one guest star. I mean, um, Spock's father, for example, was an excellent Mark Leonard.
Sarek. Oh my God, yeah, Mark Leonard. You're right. That was an acting clinic. That was unbelievable. I also thought Barkley. Now we've seen him 2 or 3 times,
Yeah,
but originally, he was just a single episode guest star. So good.
yeah. So for me to narrow it down to one, it's just like nah, it's almost impossible because they all shine in different ways in different
Hmm.
moments. We just saw an episode with Robert McNeil, and he was fantastic in his guest
Yeah.
star.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, I can't pick one out of more than the others, but there have been some really fantastic ones.
Okay. Here's another one. Let's see. What am I looking for? Oh, here it is. Steve Case asks, "Hey gang,
AK
uh,
Bugbuster.
yeah, the AKA Joe Bugbuster, you got it. We're just starting TNG season 6, and there's only one more season after that. So I'm wondering where the seventh rule is thinking about going next, assuming you're not planning on hanging up your tricorders." Linda Andreich says, "What series will you review after TNG?" Philip G. Bran Ives says, "I think my first question would be, are you going to review Voyager?" You noticing a theme here? Amiram Mizne says, to Sirach and Ryan, looking a bit further into our future, what's next for the podcast beyond TNG? Will you review the movies? I'm assuming you'll review the latest seasons of SNW. Any Jake Sisko's appearances planned? Okay, so basically the point is, a lot of people have asked, in a nutshell, we got about 2 seasons left. What are we going to do after this? And we'll answer that right after the break, everybody. We will be right back on the seventh rule.